Journeys Ahead, Aurora Legends. Number 10, Stolen Goods. Written and narrated by T.S. Pro Art. As the moon shone bright above the city, Voyd, with Jaida riding atop his back, soared from in between skyscrapers and buildings, the two back and ready in their armors. In the distance, they could see it. The largest Notorious Industries building, glowing a neon green in the night against the skyline. Neither of them could believe that this is what they were doing tonight, the second day of summer. A meet with one of the richest men in the world? It struck them both with so many thoughts and emotions, most of which being negative. "Are you nervous? Because I'm nervous," Jaida asked with a cold sweat, as they neared closer and closer to the gargantuan structure. "More hesitant than anything. I've been having my doubts with this company since the night Raymond made that pledge. I have no earthly idea why now of all times you want to talk, after weeks of us trying to get into contact with him," the spark replied as the two of them landed on the large balcony that extended off the building's uppermost floor. It was an emerald green color, one with dim lights that made it seem all the more official. But that wasn't the most intriguing thing of note in the environment, because there, standing and overlooking the city, was the man himself, Raymond Notorio, dressed up in his green tuxedo, sharp garments, and looking all the fancier. Slowly turning around, he set his green cross-shaped eyes upon the duo and gave a tender smile upon their arrival. "You came," he exclaimed with a full turn and slow march towards the duo. "Yeah, kind of hard not to when you ask it on public television," Voyd replied, his voice weary, as he and Jaida approached the man in stride. "I do apologize if that caused any disturbances. I don't know who you are. For your safety, I shall keep it as such. It was the only way I knew I could reach you both without breaking that compromise," Raymond explained as he extended his right pale gray hand out for the both of them. "I understand that you both dealt with terrible threats that are supposedly tied to my company, but I'm here to let you know now that it was nothing of our doing. We're both here trying to help the city in our own ways. For that, I have all the respect." Reaching out, the duo shook the man's hand in return as he gave a truthful tone to his words. "Well, when your brand label is plastered on a cyborg shark and a machine designed to copy someone, it raises heavy suspicion, dude," Jaida replied, to which the man nodded. "Without a doubt. This way. Come," Raymond replied as the three of them entered into the building's uppermost floor, which was a giant home space for the billionaire, all with glass walls, pristine floors, shimmering ceiling fans, and even a fireplace besides a large TV and paintings. "Listen, I know for a fact that my company has been robbed. Most of our technology is held down tight within our building's research facilities. The other day, when all this news broke, we scanned our records and found several missing assets to our work. Assets I believe resulted in the creation of what you both had to face." Approaching a nearby desk with a clear screen computer, Raymond rounded to its backside and typed in a code, leading to a peculiar image appearing before the duo. It took some time, but our highly advanced security cameras were able to pick up something that shall be useful in understanding who were behind these attacks. Here. Several months back, this van left our facility grounds. Upon the screen, the blurry image of a large vehicle appeared, one akin to a moving truck, but with a large image of a red butterfly spray painted upon its side. "Hell is that?" Voyd asked, as Raymond stared back at the duo with a stern face. "As you both know, this city is riddled with crime, especially after the attack that happened a few months back. That there is the mark of what is known as the Morpho Mafia," Raymond explained as he pulled up several mugshots of gang members who had once been behind bars. They're a ravenous group of individuals that are what one would call pyromaniacs. Years back, they tried burning down one of my smaller facilities. Luckily, I had guard bots on standby that were able to get them to the authorities. I now believe that they stole out a Petty to stop the likes of you. Curiously, Voyd and Jaida approached the screen, seeing several faces they didn't recognize, all tattooed and branded by the mark of the butterfly. Their leader, Adrian Knight, used to be a business competitor of mine. As time passed, my company outgrew his. He went bankrupt, and blames me and the city we care about for what happened. It all links up too perfectly. It's a ruse to throw me under the bus and to deal with you two at the same time. This is why I felt it important to bring you here, to explain. With stunned stares, the duo looked up at Raymond, who was now beginning to seem a bit more innocent than expected. A business rival stealing from you? Huh. Well, that's not at all what I was expecting from this meeting. Jaida huffed with a bow in her hands as Raymond walked around the desk to a nearby wall. With the tech that was recovered from the aquarium attack, we were able to track a possible spot for Adrian's coordinates, revealing a warehouse on the outskirts of the city. The billionaire stated as he clicked a few buttons upon a wall keypad. With your help, we can finally bring him to justice, clear the company name, and get back to fixing our city. Together. Suddenly, the wall Raymond approached opened up like a secret passageway, revealing two items inside that left the duo falling to shock. Whoa! What are these? Jaida asked as her and Voyd approached. These are an apology gift for the terrible miscommunications for the last few weeks. Raymond answered as I all looked upon two brand new suits for the Bullet and the Angel. They were designed to an accurate T to their current looks, except instead of their brighter colors, they opted for a sleek black-colored appearance, with refined armor, plating, and accents of sharp, vibrant blue and orange along the panel lines. I have designed you both what I like to call stealth suits. Your armor is good, but it can only last for so long. These two have been reinforced with the latest nanotechnology samples. Simply place your hands on them and let the bots assimilate to your current attires. To this, Voyd and Jaida looked at one another with baffled eyes, and then did as the billionaire asked. Upon placing their hands upon the suits, their vibrant colors were swiftly replaced with the new looks. The biggest change outside the darker shades was their dark visors going bright blue for Voyd and orange for Jaida, their eyes reflecting back through as a white oval shape. Whoa! Okay, that's cool. Voyd exclaimed as his visor and Jaida's visor screens flashed the words, Armor add-ons activated. I'm glad you like them. With a simple word of command, stealth off or stealth on, you can remove and activate the nanobots from the suit, to which they will store themselves into a little pod in your pants. These suits can be used at any time. Hope they help for more tight missions, such as the one we have discovered now. Would you both be willing to help me to put an end to my old friend's illegal actions? Nodding, Voyd and Jaida stood tall and strong, having felt as though they had been completely wrong about the large man before them. It had been a ruse, a flip and lie from another outlet, all of it. It would appear Notorious Industries was innocent, at least for now. 100%. I won't lie, sir, but I sort of doubted you. But I'm glad to now have some clarity, especially after this. Voyd said as he looked to his sleek new black armor. I understand. I'm a billionaire. Everyone hates me. The man chuckled out as he made his way towards his computer desk. The coordinates will be sent to your helmet shortly. Sincerely, I thank you both. Raymond thanked as the duo began making their way for the exit door. No, thank you, sir! Jaida said with a double-finger gun point as they both left off the balcony and soared into the night, leaving Raymond smiling and watching with a nod. That was, until a robot designed for making coffee entered the room.
Ha! Incredible ploy, sir! Also, I am here to inform you that our Notorious Industry tracker drones have located Adrian's hideout, making the tracking live from the aquarium a success.
The robot said as he placed a coffee upon Notorio's desk. Good. The nanobots have also been assimilated into the Blue Bullet's armor. Latte Bate. Use them to scan its mechanisms, its mainframe, everything, every nook and cranny so we can use its data for the inevitable construction. Raymond said as he changed his view of the computer screen to a lower sector camera of his building, showing energy tubes and machines being powered by the blue shard used by the doppelganger. Spark essence mixed with chemicals were being forged into a strange liquid form, one that burned a hot cosmic blue. Once I have a full grasp upon this alien technology, we can use its data to enact the ultimate goal. The betterment of mankind. The next stage in our evolution. Raymond saw with a grin as he looked to his desk, where a photo of him, a wife, and a son stood. A betterment we should have always carried. Raymond then said as he looked at his own skin. Weak, flimsy, disgusting. He growled, finding only malice in his own organic body. With a warp, Jaida brought both herself and Voyd into a dark environment. 75277 West Avenue, their mask HUDs red, as they land upon the roof of a warehouse, one that was showered in the darker half of the southern side. Voyd, his eyes shimmering, peered down to the scene below through a sunroof upon the building. Beside him, Jaida surveyed the layout as well with a practiced eye. Below, the interior buzzed with activity. Men in crisp suits moved notorious industry labeled crates, argued over ledgers, and polished what could only be described as large weaponry. This was it, the heart of the Morpho Mafia's operation, just as Raymond was able to track. Ready to make an entrance? Jaida asked with a playful glint in her eyes. Aren't these supposed to be stealth suits? We're just gonna jump in and not use them to our advantage? Voyd asked as Jaida's constellations faintly hummed under the suit. Come on, we gotta present them loud and proud first. Then we can be stealthy and boring like you always do. With a roll in his eyes, Voyd nodded, and with one swift motion, he broke the glass above. The sound was swiftly drawn out by the gasps and startled shouts that erupted around them, as they fell and landed to their feet upon the cold cement interior. All activity grounded to a halt. Every head turned, every weapon stilled. In the center of the room, there was the man they were looking for. A man with slicked back hair and piercing orange, fire-infected eyes, standing frozen, a half-finished glass of amber liquid clutched in his hand. It was Adrian Knight, the notorious leader of the Morpho Mafia. Well, looks like we have a group of lousy brand destroyers. Really cute tech you threw at us, fellas, Jaida exclaimed, her voice cutting through the silence. Adrian's composure cracked. What are you... How did you find us? He stammered, his eyes darting between the two kids with a cold sweat. Voyd stepped forwards first, a mischievous smile playing on his lips from behind the mask. Let's just say an old friend of yours wasn't too happy with what you've been doing. And frankly, we're not either, Voyd stated as his new armor shone beautifully in the light, like obsidian meeting the daylight. The color drained from Adrian's face. Raymond, he huffed, his voice a bitter pill, and the implications were clearly sinking in. That son of a... He snarled, his voice laced with venomous fury. Rage fueled him, but he knew he was outmatched by the Angel and Bullet. Then, he barked orders, and his men, recovering from their initial shock, surged forwards. But instead of engaging the intruders directly, they engulfed Adrian, their faces grimly determined. Raymond, that snake, that piece of trash, can't even be brave enough to face me head on! The crew moved with practiced efficiency, stripping off Adrian's suit and replacing it with heavy, reinforced garments. It was an unsettling and familiar sight. A repurposed firefighter uniform, bulked up with layers of metal plating and intricate wiring. A grotesque transformation was underway. You poor little rats. He'll just use you like everyone else. There's no such thing as a good man. Raymond is no saint. Sending you here to settle his scores. Strapped onto Adrian's back were two immense mechanical wings, forged from polished brass and riveted metal. They were a steampunk nightmare, intricate gears whirring and hissing as servos engaged, charging up with what Jaida and Voyd realized to be a form of residual cosmic fire. Finally, they placed a mask over his face, a grotesque parody of a butterfly forged from a pyro's gear.
Lapdogs. Just lapdogs. When I'm done with you, Raymond will be charred to the very bone.
To Voyd and Jaida's dismay, they could both see that this was no longer Adrian Knight. It was as if he were reborn a monster, one in fire and machinery, the tech being a mashup of Raymond's own mind. With a guttural roar, he activated the suit, the mechanical wings fully roaring to life, snapping open with a residual clang. A low hum vibrated the air as the flamethrower mounted upon Adrian's arm roared with the same flames, the flames from years past. Then, with a powerful thrust of his augmented limbs, he launched himself skyward, the wings beating with a deafening rhythm, pushing him higher and higher. The flamethrower flared, bathing the scene in a hellish, burning orange light. The other members of Adrian's crew now fled, as Voyd and Jaida charged with their energies.
I am the mortal, and you two are scorched.
Alright, Knight, Voyd's voice boomed as he summoned his Nova runes, glowing with an ethereal blue light. Enough games! Why did you build that damn cyborg shark and that robotic doppelganger? What was the plan, Knight? To kill us both? Adrian simply leveled his flamethrower.
I don't know what you're talking about. Die!
He harassed, his voice distorted by a modulator within the mask. But his actions spoke louder than his words. A blast of searing flame erupted from the nozzle, forcing Voyd and Jaida to scatter. Oh, he's bluffing! Jaida shouted, already a blur across the floor. She launched into a series of acrobatic flips, drawing closer the Knight, the air shimmering with heat and cosmic energy around her hands. The two balls of pure fire then erupted from her palms, aiming squarely at his armored chest. Knight, however, was ready. He banked sharply with his wings, dodging the fireballs with a mechanical whir. He answered with a sweeping burst from his flamethrower, painting the warehouse in a terrifying canvas of orange and red. Wooden crates burst into flames, adding on to the growing inferno. Voyd quickly took cover behind a stack of pallets, quickly etching more runes from his hands. Re-emerging, Voyd threw projectiles of spark energy at the pyromaniac, forcing him to divert his attention from Jaida. This isn't getting us anywhere! Voyd roared, blasting a hole through a nearby metal support beam with his arm cannons. We need answers! The spark unleashed a powerful right hook, extending his arm out with a crack of displaced air. The punch connected with Knight's right wing, sending a shower of sparks and screeching metal. But the wing held, only suffering superficial damage. Jaida seized the opportunity. With a flicker, she disappeared and reappeared in a blur directly behind Knight. Another burst of fire erupted from her hands, this time aiming for the fuel tank supposedly strapped onto his back. Adrian reacted instantaneously, pivoting on the same spot and unleashing a steam of flames directly at Jaida's new location. She warped away again, but the heat was intense, even for her. She could handle it just fine, but the new armor would surely sustain damage, as it appeared to slightly be smoldering. The warehouse was rapidly transforming to a burning hellscape. Smoke billowed, choking the air and obscuring their vision. The heat shimmered, making it difficult to aim. Despite the chaos, Voyd's frustration grew. Knight's insistence on ignorance was infuriating. You expect us to believe you didn't have a hand in nearly killing me? Voyd yelled, unleashing a barrage of blast and arm cannon fire. You created those monsters! You unleashed them on us! Don't play dumb, Knight! Adrian remained silent, a figure of relentless destruction. He continued his assault, his flamethrower spitting fire, his wings beating a rhythmic tattoo of impending doom. Jaida herself was clearly tiring. Another warp left her momentarily disoriented, gasping for breath. Voyd knew they were running out of time. He needed to change the battlefield, disrupt Knight's advantage. A plan formed in his mind, desperate and risky. Planting his feet firmly on the scorched concrete, Voyd channeled his energy. More complex, more powerful runes blazed across his now black gauntlets, pulsing with raw magical energy. Extending both of his arms, he reached up towards the warehouse ceiling. He focused his energy, his muscles straining, his veins bulging. Then with a final, earth-shattering grunt, he ripped a section of the roof clean off its supports. Tons of metal and concrete crashed down, directly between Voyd and Jaida, as well as Adrian. Dust and debris filled the air, obscuring everything in a cold, gray cloud. The warehouse groaned under the strain, flames licking at the exposed sky. The dust settled slightly, and Adrian Knight was down, the broken roof having doused him with gallons of now pouring pipe water. As the flames raged on, Voyd looked at Jaida and nodded as the familiar sounds of police sirens began to arise. That was easy, Jaida stated, while brushing herself off. Definitely. Can't say if I feel all that satisfied, though. For someone with a mind like that, it was a bit underwhelming. Voyd said as he and Jaida climbed their way out of the roof and then leapt to a neighboring building. Perching down, they both watched as Adrian was dragged out and thrown into a SWAT car by police officers. The stolen remains, those that hadn't been burned anyways, were then recovered by approaching firefighters. For a good while, the duo watched as the flames burned, reflecting an amber hue against their new armor. Serves them right, Jaida spat, watching the truck drive off.
Right indeed.
Raymond's voice all of a sudden said, speaking through their helmet speakers. Huh, what the Mr. Notorio? Voyd asked, as the duo stood upright.
Yes, it's me. Sorry for the scare. I was watching the whole thing go down through a nearby drone that's now projecting a phone signal to your helmets. Hence why I'm talking to you now.
The billionaire said, as Voyd and Jaida took note of a green device hovering nearby.
Great work, you two. Thanks to you both, the city can now breathe a sigh of relief. Adrian may have been just another crook, but he's just another wound that will soon heal over.
The billionaire assured, making the duo gently smile.
Till we cross paths again, heroes. You can keep the suits, by the way.
The big man said, as at last the call ended, leaving Voyd and Jaida with a massive sense of weight being released from their shoulders. Two weeks later. The air in the prison's dark halls hung thick with despair. The Obsidian was the facility's name, a palpable weight pressing down as Raymond Notorio navigated the labyrinth of corridors. His footsteps echoed softly, the only sound besides the distant muffled cries of the forgotten. He slowly stopped before a cell, the cold steel bars reflecting the dim light back at him. Inside, a large figure sat hunched, his hair greasy and dangling, radiating an aura of shimmering resentment. Hello, Adrian. How are you holding up? Raymond's voice, laced with an unsettling cheerfulness, cut through the silence. The figure within the cell, Adrian, snapped his head up, his orange eyes burning with animosity. What do you want, Raymond? The man asked, his tone rough, his body weak from the battle. Raymond merely smiled, unfazed by the venomous greeting. Nothing too much. Just a little chat. I took the liberty of ensuring we could have some privacy. He gestured towards the cell door, which sprung open with a mechanical click. As this happened, Adrian's eyes fell stern, watching as his old business rival stepped inside. Raymond then closed the cell door behind him, the finality of the action hanging heavy in the small space. The pleasantries were over. I am very upset, Adrian. Raymond began, his tone shifting, the friendly facade dissolving. Stealing my technology. After all this time. Adrian's brow furrowed, leaving him to spit on the ground, the sound sharp and defiant. Your technology? He asked, throat burning with rage. You stole my ideas, Raymond! Every wire, every circuit, every line of code was born in my head, and you snatched it like a hawk to a mouse! Raymond simply shrugged, a gesture that amplified Adrian's frustration tenfold. Sure, you could say that. Your technology that was also so flimsy and frail. I simply just made them better. Coffee pots? Brilliant. He paused, his eyes gleaming with a predatory light. What do you want? Adrian growled. Oh, I'm just here to settle the score. A tense silence descended, broken only by the ragged breaths of Adrian. Raymond then raised his right hand, and what happened next defied belief. Metal plates, seemingly hidden within the fabric of Raymond's expensive suit, began to unfold with a precise, almost organic grace. They clicked and whirred, arranging themselves around his forearm, transforming to a sleek, menacing gauntlet. The metal pulsed with an eerie green energy, the light reflecting in Adrian's increasingly wide eyes. What is that? Adrian stammered, fear finally creeping to his voice. Raymond smiled, a cold, calculating expression that sent a shiver down Adrian's spine. Mankind's next step in evolution. After these last chilling words, Raymond clenched the gauntlet's fist, the green energy suddenly surging blue for a moment, before it reverted back to its normal state of green. Then, in an electric and buzzing flash, a makeshift Novaroon appeared above his fist, spinning and flickering with an automated recreation of spark essence. What are you? Adrian stuttered, but was halted as the prison halls were suddenly filled with the violent sounds of metal and magic punching and smashing directly into his face. The man screamed for help, but Raymond was one step ahead. He needed a test run, and figured it was best to deal a few good punches to an old friend, no matter how much he cried.